All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the July 27th Agent Sandbox meeting. I'm your host today, Janet. We have an announcement. We now have 0.5.2 and zero point 0.3 release published. And please be mindful that the 0.5.2 contains a fix for a race condition during upgrade that the worm clan might have some race condition that will cause it to create cold started pods or sandboxes. So this release contains the fix. If you use Wormpool in previous release, you should upgrade to this version instead of the earlier 0.5 versions. And then I'm also going to share the link to the agenda in chat so everyone can follow along if you want to. Moving on to the discussion topic. And we have a demo today.
Hi.
So do you need to share your screen? If so, I need to make you a co-host.
I think it will be nicer, but I can speak without without a demo running in the background. If people prefer that way.
It's fine. I just made you a co-host, so you should be able to share your screen now.
Sorry. Just a second. Having a technical difficulty. No, I'm sorry, I'm sharing the wrong screen. Okay. So can people see this mock terminal?
Yes.
Okay, so very briefly, hi, I'm Eitan Geiger from Red Hat. Usually I'm interested in developing mostly stuff related to observability. I also have a couple of PRs hanging, but more to the point, I wanted to share with you how I got to agent sandboxing. And the story is basically that we had a client that wanted to ask, why do we offer so many sandboxing solutions in Red Hat? So we have OpenShell and we have Kata containers, which we brand as OpenShift sandbox containers, and why we need both. So I made this short demo, which shows the point. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that different sandboxing solutions are protecting at different layers of the stack. And to demonstrate this point, I will very briefly show this, and then I will come to the point of what is it related to Agent Sandbox. I created three identical pods running open code, one protected only with Kata, one protected or sandboxed by OpenShell, and one sandboxed by both. And then I ran two different attacks. One is more of an application layer attack. The idea is
Excuse me, sorry to interrupt. I cannot see the screen anymore. Is it just me?
I can't see it either, Janet. It's just a black, completely black screen.
Same here.
Let me try to, maybe I will do it.
I see four panels of terminal, but I don't know if it's like an old.
Now, do you see something else?
Just see a black screen. Maybe try resharing again.
Yes. Can you see now?
No, it's still a black screen for me.
Okay, so I will stop the share, and if it's okay with everyone, I will just describe briefly what I did. So if people are aware, OpenShell is a sandbox solution that is more application level. So it is aware of it is running an agent, and it tries to hide API secrets and allow list different URLs. The attack that I simulated is based on a report by Microsoft where you give the open code instruction to code review a commit, and you tell it that the commit message includes details on how to test it, and then the commit message tells it to leak secrets. And as we expect, OpenShell blocked the attack, and Kata container allowed the attack, so it allows the secrets to be leaked. Then we flipped the coin, and we made another attack, which is based on copy fail. So this is a kernel vulnerability, and what we did is that we saw that with Kata, because you attack the kernel, OpenShell can protect you from it. We were able to break out of OpenShell. With Kata, of course, because you're running on a different kernel, you can't break out of the container. And what is the relation to Agent Sandbox? So there are two connections. One is that to make this whole thing running, basically, Agent Sandbox is the glue. So OpenShell on Kubernetes is running with Agent Sandbox as the enabler. And on the other end, to run Kata containers, we ran it through Agent Sandbox with runtime class of Kata. The second relation, and what I would like to briefly say, is that when trying to explain the relation, I came to the problem that sandboxing means different things in different contexts. So for both other solutions, sandbox is more of a term of security, and with Agent Sandbox, the meaning is quite different. So this is just something that I wanted to share with the community, and maybe suggest that because many people are when you say sandbox, they hear security. Maybe the selling point is what I said earlier, that selling is the security enabler, or the things that allows security sandboxes to actually run.
Yeah, I think we have a few confusion earlier in the project about what this does, and we had some discussion with the Kata community as well. Originally, they thought we are creating another runtime class. We told them it's actually a layer above. It's more about orchestrating those sandboxes. Justin?
Yeah, I mean, yes, 100%. I think I love this. As I understand it, we can. I don't know if it was you, but people have been like contributing PRs to like plug in Kata containers and all of that as a runtime class into Agent Sandbox, right? Like Agent Sandbox is not entirely unopinionated, but like will allow you to plug in Kata containers or other alternative or other CRIs. And yes, I would love to get more of that in our docs, in testing and all of that, like show that, you know, as I understand it, the overhead of Kata containers is not what you might think. It might even be faster than C group sometimes, or containerd and C group sometimes. So I think it is awesome to get those. And gvisor, yes, it would be great to get those numbers in there and show people that yes, you can have your cake and eat it too.
Yes, definitely.
Any other questions or comments?
I will just say that because the demo didn't run properly, I will later link to a recording of the demo. So hopefully, if someone finds it interesting, they can watch.
Yeah, that sounds great.
But something that you wanted to came across of the demo, like a proposal to the project, or like or you're just using the project?
I just wanted to A, share, and B, raise the point of the sandbox terminology confusion and suggest, as I said, that if we want to maybe mitigate slightly the confusion, we can say that Agent Sandbox is kind of a security solution because it is the security enabler. It's not the thing that does the security itself, but it is the security enabler in terms of both OpenShell using it and Kata riding underneath it. Agent Sandbox is the glue that allows security to happen.
Okay, that's fair. That could be something to discuss on the definition. Hi, I'm Carlos, by the way. And to talk in meetings. To relate it to this, I think to security, something that I saw, I think it was this recently in a few last days, was the threat model document from Agent Substrate. I was reading it. I really liked that document. And I was wondering if it would be beneficial to also have a threat model document on this project. That way, it's not just a paragraph description, right? Of like, what are the security aspects of and the layer on the Agent Sandbox? Because I'm come from AWS. I have customers and clients and partners that are, for some reason, they assume that the sandbox this project is the runtime. And I was telling them, like, clarifying the same thing. So of like, no, it's runtime class to put something there, or you may not put something there. But then they ask, like, well, what is the security aspect? What does it give? And that's what triggered my mind, because I saw the Agent Substrate did a really good job on that threat model document, which should copy a few things. I saw that some things they can just port it over, but that could be something as an action item, right? Like, just point people like the security aspects of this project are covered in this threat model document. I can link to the Substrate PR or doc, but that's my 2 cents. If it makes sense, I don't know. People say it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so actually I presented in the confidential computing community meeting last week. It's a CNCF community meeting, and then they also made a similar suggestion about having a threat model documented in the repo. So I think it's a good suggestion. I'm going to make that update to make it more clear. So besides the runtime class, we also have things like network policy, and there's some default network policy that we bootstrap when people create sandboxes from a sandbox template. So that's something we can document for sure and clarify that we are not building a runtime. Any other comments about this one? Oh, shoot. Justin?
I just wanted to mention something I heard people say, and I really like the idea of a sandbox runtime. Like, that is very clarifying to me, right? Like the notion that there is a sandbox runtime that is different from Sandbox, right, is, I think, the subtlety. And yes, so like I think I agree. It's about terminology and that, and I think having the docs will make it clearer if we find some terminology we like and keep pushing on that and show that there are different runtimes that do have different security characteristics. We can put it that way without upsetting anyone. Then I think that will be great.
Sounds good. And by the way, if folks join the CCAP's mailing list, you're going to get the added access to the doc. Let me share the mailing list. Yeah, I shared the mailing list in the chat. So if you want added access, you can just join that. Moving on to the next topic. Not sure who wants to talk about this one.
You mean runtime aware harness?
Yeah, I guess this is a request for looking at the PR.
Well, not exactly. PR has been reviewed. Hi, I'm Victor. I'm from Red Hat, and it wasn't coordinated that I'll talk the same meeting with the Eitan. I just crafted some slides, not into the PR, because I was like asked not to put the numbers together with the test harness itself. I'm not sure I have time to present all of that, but accidentally, when I started to test Agent Sandbox with different runtimes, I ended up with producing some benchmark. And then I had back-to-back on the same cluster results for default run-C runtime, and then gvisor and Kata CLH from Kata 4.0 upstream project I used on my cluster. So as Justin said, PRs, yeah, probably these were mine, because based on this test harness, I wish some CI jobs could be added, periodically testing on different runtimes, because even if Agent Sandbox meant to be agnostic, some design decisions may affect some runtimes more than others. So with that benchmark, I basically showed that every runtime has its trade-offs, and every runtime causes some bottleneck. Even run-C/gvisor at some point caused bottleneck on etcd. And I started with the downstream operator that Emanuele produced for OpenShift. It was based on 0.5.1 RC, and it had some improvements like parallel pull fill. But then I switched to 0.5.3, and I enjoyed the total parallel refill with like 100 workers, but it just pushed the bottleneck further to etcd. Yeah, and yeah, well, pull hides pretty well the cold start of Kata family. I took some promising one. There are different runtimes. This one, it's not ultra fast, but it's not ultra slow. It's like has enough in it. Virt.io, some modern drivers, supports GPU. So for the 20% of non-generic AI agents that require some kata or GPU or something specific, these tools could be used. So benchmark can help sizing properly the pools, or even using hybrid pools, or something that can route you to the proper pool based on maybe some SLA like isolation. I proposed to use like process isolation vs hardware isolation, and then based on the load, you could end up on a available pool. But that was before I read about substrate. So for the Google with the substrate, probably no need for that. Anyway, there are numbers. There is a benchmark. I completely amateur creator of benchmarks. I just wanted to, out of curiosity, wanted to find out how it works, the agent sandbox, and how pools work. So it's up to you to include it or not. Please comment. I got some comments from Aditya. Thanks for that. I tried to answer all of them. And this is it.
Testing?
Justin.
I've also been doing some working on benchmarking. We had TLDR. I would like us to have those benchmarks as well, like for all the different configurations. We had a little pushback from, we have a limited budget on CNCF, so I was running some bigger tests, as were other people. I think if we run a benchmark with, less than 10 nodes, no one's going to object in terms of cost. So yes, let's get more benchmarks in for more scenarios, including gvisor and Kata. Right now, I think we have some that use kind, some that use kops, kops, which I also work on, full disclosure type thing. I think kops we can get working using gvisor and Kata. If someone wanted to submit another one, then that's, I think, fine too. The only problem is I don't know a lot about them, right? So we have to find someone that can review them type thing. But yes, like more benchmarks are better than fewer benchmarks. And honestly, the quality of the benchmark is less important. I added a link to the word performance below. One of the thing in the meeting notes, one of the things I just pasted here. I don't know why I'm being so random, as it were. But one of the things I think is interesting is I've started collecting a lot of metrics during that performance run and trying to aggregate it into a report. Obviously, there's a lot of help from AI. Like my report would not look this. I don't think it looks perfect, but it's much better than anything I could create by hand. But like there's some really interesting data if you like click through and drill about like what the actual bottlenecks are. And yes, like sometimes it's etcd. If you're just churning pods as fast as they can with C groups, like there's a unexpected behavior in kubelet where like status updates are serialized. So I think this is a great thing to do, and I think it will find optimizations across the stack, not just in Agent Sandbox, but in certainly core Kubernetes and possibly even in Kata and gvisor as well. So I think it's a great thing to do, and we well worth the cost of running a 10 node job type thing.
Sounds great. So we'll take a look at the PR and approve it once there's no issue. Next one, Justine.
Oh, okay. Yes. So I'm doing this performance work. One of the bottlenecks which I encountered, which is less of an issue now because we are updating. We're updating the status using a sort of a out of sequence write, an unconditional write instead of a conditional write. Is the fact that we write this pod name annotation sometimes or often. I think the pod name annotation could probably be a status field instead. And honestly, it's not even clear that anyone needs it. If it's a status field, it's free. Or it goes in with another update. So it's 30 bytes on an update that's happening already. The annotation is actually quite expensive because it's a whole nother round trip, and it previously caused all sorts of conflicts. Currently causes another loop around the reconcile loop. So it's expensive right now, but I think it's probably still worth fixing. There is a PR that's open that a work in progress PR where I thought we could discuss it, which is number 1226. But I'm particularly interested in hearing whether anyone actually uses that annotation and whether they would, are happy with it as an annotation or whether they prefer it as a status field type thing. Because it is an API change.
So I think the pod name annotation is an implementation detail. It's not used for exposing to users. It's more for, if I remember correctly, it's for some something like adopt or lock mechanism. We need to look at the code base to confirm what is used. So I don't
think
expect users to really use it.
I think that's right, but I think the minute we put something in the object, I don't want to say the API, right? The object, it becomes treated as like some people will. There's no way to hide it, right? That's one of the great things about Kubernetes, right? But it means you put something in, and a lot of people can depend on it, or read it, or like write a script that uses it, right? And so I don't want to just assume that no one else is using it, or assume that we're the only users. So.
Yeah,
But we are, we're still early, so we should probably clean these things up. But that's why I thought this was a good place to bring it up.
and I think we also have a bunch of other annotations we use as implementation detail for figuring out like some logic.
So maybe it's sorry.
Yeah, we might need to clean those up if needed.
Yeah, and I think the idea that annotation updates have to be a separate update from status because we have the status sub-resource, whereas status goes free, is a nice observation, because it means if we add it to status, it is a little bit, it's cheaper, and we have the opportunity to write like more comments on it in our API, right? In our CRD, we can write a description on the field saying, this is intended for internal, or whatever we want to write, basically.
There's a hint from Carlos.
Any particular reason why this metadata was put in the annotations in the first place versus status? On the back of the project?
Probably just expediency. I don't know if anyone remembers, and it is much easier to, if it is an internal implementation, it's much easier to not change the status. But
right, and we don't, because status is for users to see, and we think annotation is easier to to use as implementation detail.
It's easier to use by consumers of Kubernetes resources?
Easier for developers of Agent Sandbox to just
the implementation to write.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any discussion on how the overall status should be changed, or like what should be the end, and then this information goes in there? But I think it's a good idea to move a status overall, and if it affects performance, even greater urgency. That might 2 cents.
Yeah,
thank you, Justin.
Agreed. I guess we didn't pay attention to how annotation affects performance before. All right. Any other topics or questions? I think we're out of time. I think there's a question in chat about relationship between Agent Sandbox and Substrate.
Yeah, I wrote a question about the relationship between Agent Sandbox and Agent Substrate. So I got the chance to join one time to Agent Substrate, and this is my first time here. So I'd love to hear, like, TLDR, I don't know, a few sentences, if you can arrange this relationship for me to help me, because I do like to start contributing, and I would like to understand, better.
Yeah. Justin, do you want to take that one?
Honestly, not really. I think the argument is there are some degrees of scale that cannot be achieved in Kubernetes with the current design. There is a active debate about what those degrees of scale are, and I think putting up the benchmarks and establishing this can be done, I think is very helpful for everyone to understand what can and cannot be done. I think the main axes are how fast can we turn up a pod, like launch a new one. How fast? How many active pods, or how many pods can we fit in a cluster? I'm calling them pods, but whatever. How many sandboxes of not necessarily an agent sandbox? How many Sandbox things can we fit into a single Kubernetes cluster? And so how many objects can we have in Kubernetes? And like, is there degradation? And then finally, can we achieve much higher density in substrate by using suspend and resume of micro VMs? So this idea of an active pod versus a non-active pod. Those are, as far as I know, the three axes. And the argument is that substrate being unconstrained by Kubernetes will be able to go much further. It doesn't have to use etcd, so it can put, you know, 1 trillion objects into a spanner, whatever, right? Like, it doesn't have to use containerd or CRI, or kubelet, so it doesn't have. It can start a pod faster. It can do suspend resume, and it doesn't have to go through kube API server, so it can do that faster. Those are the fundamental ideas that I think that project is exploring, and I think, you know, but at the same time, I feel like our goal in this project is to be like, Agent Sandbox is great up until this point, and then if that's good enough for you, great. If not, there are other projects out there.
Yeah. So if I get it right, Agent Sandbox is built on top of Kubernetes primitives, while Substrate is not. They are building their own primitives. So you mentioned a couple of points where Substrate has some advantages. So do you have like ideas of points where Agent Sandbox has advantages? Like, yeah, of course, it uses, you know, beneath the Kubernetes primitives that I'm familiar with, and it's nice. But other than that, like in terms of performance or any other, you know, any other criteria, is there something that we can say in this aspect, Agent Sandbox would be a better fit?
I think the argument would be, if you don't need one of those three or whatever axes of scale, then you are able to choose to stick with what you know, and everything will work exactly as you expect. So if you want to use network policy, for example, it will work the same on Kubernetes as Kubernetes, right? And I think Substrate is trying to figure out what it has to implement from Kubernetes to like make sure that you can freely move, but there will certainly be, if you want Kubernetes or need any of the Kubernetes features, it's not a guarantee that they will exist on Substrate, because Substrate, in order to get the scale, has to step outside of Kubernetes and therefore must re-implement or figure out a bridge or whatever it is, right? Like, so, but I don't want to represent the Substrate project because I'm focusing very much on Agent Sandbox and Kubernetes.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Cool. All right. Thanks, everyone. I think we're at time. Thanks for the discussion, and see you next time. Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye. Bye.